Welcome, guys, to the first ever interview for Balls Deep UFC. I'm very excited to be joined by the legendary Greg Jackson, who is a historical MMA figure, and I'm just excited to have him. And Mr. Jackson, if you'd like to introduce yourself, please go ahead.
Hi, my name's Greg Jackson. I co-run a small martial arts school in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I've been doing mixed martial arts stuff since 90. I opened my school in 92, so I guess in 94, 95 is when we started competing. So 1994, 95, not 1894, 95.
Right. Mr. Jackson, I'd love to ask you about just when you started. I looked it up. You opened your gym at a pretty young age. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I grew up in the South Valley of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and there was a lot of it's a very machismo culture there, so there's a lot of fighting and stuff. So I kind of grew up doing that. And then when I was 17, my friends said, how are you doing what you're doing in fights? Let me give you some quick family background first. So I come from several generations of wrestlers. My dad, my little brother were state champions. My uncle was a D2 national champion. So wrestling is kind of the base. And then just tried to figure everything else out. So anyway, at 17, opened the school up doing a very primitive form of MMA. And shortly thereafter, the UFC came out, and I saw how far ahead the Gracie family was. And, those guys were like I always say, they were PhDs, and I was in kindergarten. So I opened the school at 17. Was not interested in being a coach or competition or anything. I was just a happy guy teaching martial arts, and I would have been happy doing that for the rest of my life. But my students wanted to try the competition stuff after the UFC came out, so they talked me into it. And we won a bunch of stuff, and so 30 some odd years later, here I am talking to you.
Awesome. Who was your first real prospect when you first started?
First generation, we had some great fighters, all of who are coaches now. We had Tom Vaughn, Crystal Trill, Brad Aaron. So those guys you wouldn't know because they were in the bare knuckle days. But the guy that really broke us through, though, was Diego Sanchez when he won the first Ultimate Fighter TV show. That's kind of what put us on the map. But before then, we had won a bunch of the King of the Cage and some other organizations' world titles. So we were well known, kind of under the level of the UFC. And then whenever the Ultimate Fighter TV show came out, Diego was kind of the guy that really put us on the map.
Yeah, I was watching that clip of him kind of beefing with that guy he beat in the championship, and then finally getting that victory. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Just watching that recently on Instagram. I want to talk to you about, I guess, because you bring up the Ultimate Fighter, and I wanted to talk to you about this year's Ultimate Fighter special for your gym because you have two members in it. Can you talk to me about those guys?
Yeah, I think there are two great fighters on that show. I can't say anything specifically, obviously, but there are two. I don't even know. Can I name their names? I don't even remember anymore what I can do. But anyway, yeah, we have two good guys on the show. We were very lucky with the Ultimate Fighter. We won the very first one, obviously, even before the Stephen Bonner and Forrest fight. And then we were one of the few teams to have both of our guys win the weight classes when Diego Brandao and John Dotson both won the Ultimate Fighter. I don't know if any other team has ever had both of that. Basically swept the entire thing. And this year we've got two more guys in there, and we hope they do well.
That's super awesome. And I wanted to talk to you about, obviously, your big names, Jon Jones, GSP, Holm, Cowboy. Do you have any interesting stories about any of those fighters? Like maybe the first time you met them, the first time you realized that, all right, let's say all right, a 19-year-old Jon Jones, all right, this guy's going to be legit, or a younger Cowboy, a younger GSP, just when you realize these guys are going to be really good.
Well, and that generation of fighters just had so much talent in it. I love all of those guys, all my fighters. A young Jon was, just so passionate about martial arts and fighting and stuff, and I love that. Cowboy is just brave. He gets nervous all the time, and whatever he's doing, riding bulls or jumping out of whatever he's jumping out of, or fighting or whatever. I'm always impressed by Cowboy's courage, how brave he is, because he does get nervous, and that's what courage is. The more nervous you get, the braver you are to overcome that. So a huge admirer of that from him, and just each one of those guys had special attributes that really stuck out to me, um, and especially at that level. I mean, Jon's creativity is so, and still is so, just phenomenal to witness. Just the good decisions he makes, the way he's very creative in his art, uh, is very inspiring for a guy like me. And yeah, it was a lot of fun with those guys just because they were so talented. GSP is one of the kindest, nicest people I've ever met in the world, and so the guy can knock you out, choke you out, but he's also a sweetheart, and it was just always a good person. And yeah, I really, there were so many good. Boy, we could do a 19-hour interview on all of the things that they've done over the years. But yeah, it was. They each had several special things that really stood out to me.
So I feel like some would consider, at least maybe most would consider that period of time your golden age, your gym's golden age. When you get all those champs all under the same roof, all training with the same team, and you have these guys coming up on the Ultimate Fighter now. Would you say that this is your next phase, like going into it?
I think so. I don't set the same pace that I did before, where I was every weekend at a fight doing it. I wouldn't say that I'm retired, but I'm not. I'm not even semi-retired. I'm just relaxing and having fun working with the people that I'm working with. But yeah, I think that we've got some good fighters coming up, and yeah, I think that yeah, we get another round two at another golden age. That would be all right.
I feel like everyone's looking for that. And I just wanted to ask you, I saw in an article, Rashad Evans spoke out about how you had him and other fighters perform buddy carries over the Sandia Mountains, where if they fell, they'd essentially fall to their deaths. And he was really talking about how that pressure training that you put guys through was really important. It wasn't really even about the fight training that you'd have them in, but the high pressure stake training, just teaching these guys how to be comfortable in those so uncomfortable moments. Where did you get that ideology from?
Well, it's really a very simple concept in that you just want to get used to, again, really get used to being uncomfortable. So what makes you uncomfortable? What pulls you out of the process of winning? Fears being a big one. Now it might not have been quite as scary as he remembers it, but certainly it was a potentially dangerous situation. But you need a little bit of that to get used to that edge, because when someone's trying to come and take what's yours, you have to be calm, cool, and collected, and you can't let anything pull you out of that. So if you get comfortable in those situations where you're not actually going to die, but boy, it sure looks like it, that if you're used to that, then anything else isn't going to be a big deal. So just making sure that these guys had the mental acuity um, under pressure to stay making good decisions, to stay mentally strong, these kind of things. Yeah, you want to scare them a little bit. You want to get that adrenaline going, and then you want to make that normal, where it's abnormal to not feel that, to be not exhausted, to be not afraid. That's abnormal. Normal is to feel all of those things so that you perform on your worst day, so to speak.
And you talk about these high pressure situations that you see in a career. Almost about 11 years ago, this huge controversy went down with Chael Sonnen, last minute cancellation. You were considered the sport killer, and that's got to be high pressure. And I feel like in every interview I've seen of you from that time, you remained calm, cool, and collected. Can you tell me what that time was like?
Yeah, if you make decisions that might go against the flow, yeah, you're going to get a lot of pushback and a lot of hate, and it's just part of the job. Like I'm always going to do what I feel is best for my guys, and make the decisions based on what is best for them, and doesn't necessarily line up what's best for some organizations. So it was an interesting time, for sure. We had two major criticisms. That one, and then my fighters were boring, was the other one that around that. But again, you're always looking for, when you have a very popular team or you're training a lot of people, um, that's sports entertainment. People want to hate on you or love on you, and so it's just part of the job. I never take it personally. There's certainly people that do take it very personally, but again, that what we are is a way to vent, right? Like you can get really angry at this one guy that you just don't like and you want to see him get beat up, or you can be inspired by how tough and crazy this other guy is. And that's what sports entertainment is, which I did not understand in the first 2/3 of my career at all. I just was doing it because it was fascinating to me, right? Like figuring out how to do new techniques, new ways to counter things, That was the fun part for me, and so that's what I would watch fights looking for, is creativity and solutions to problems and these kind of things that were very interesting to me. I could care less about the drama. I can still care less about the drama, but that's not what the majority of fans want. They want drama and all that kind of stuff. So we inadvertently we were able to supply them with plenty of that for a couple of years there. But again, uh, I care about what certain people think about me. But yeah, if I don't know who you are and we're not friends, I can give a shit.
Sure. I mean, that's definitely a good mentality to have. And you talk about the drama that fans love. A big drama right now is this whole pound for pound ranking things with Jon Jones, who considers himself number one, but people are talking about how inactive he is and that it's not really fair to give him that number one spot. Who do you think is the number one pound for pound fighter in the world right now?
Well, of course, I'm biased, so I would be a terrible judge, or I don't think I could ever judge a referee. I'm just too biased. Yeah, I think Jon for sure. I think he's earned it. Um, that's the thing is, it's not a very what have you done for me lately for pound. If he's still active, you got to look at the totality of the situation. So as you look back over the years, I think that you could quite easily make that argument. And I'm sure he'll retire, and fans will be able to move on to a new guy. But yeah, at the moment, I think he's earned it.
Sure. And I want to talk to you about this whole Tom Aspinall situation that Jon Jones finds himself in. He's fighting a really big name in that heavyweight division, obviously, but people are still considering him as like kind of dodging Tom Aspinall, who is the interim champ. And I want to get your opinion on that. What do you think Jon Jones's next step should be?
So I don't have any control, nor do I have any dogs in those fights. Like if we fight Aspinall, we fight Aspinall. If we fight Stipe, we fight. It doesn't matter who we fight. It's just my job to figure out how to win. So I don't have. It doesn't matter to me who we fight or why. I mean, they're both so tough. It's just Aspinall's amazing. What a multi-talented guy. It's just I have nothing but like. I'm a big fan of his. I love it to death. And the same thing with Stipe, is he's such a tough guy. Good God, like just like a real American tough guy. That's what I always say Stipe is. He's super skilled, great boxing, good ground, but he just has this like work ethic and stuff in him that I really admire. But so again, like it doesn't matter. I can tell you for a fact, Jon's not dodging anybody. I think we were set up to fight Stipe, and I think that's what we're still doing, as far as I know. So yeah, it's funny how everybody's always like, oh, he's afraid of this and that, by people that are afraid to even come up and talk to Jon. So yeah, again, it's one of those things where if I know you, if you come up and like we're talking, that's fine. But yeah, if I don't know who you are, your opinion doesn't matter all that much to me.
Sure. I think from a fan's perspective, obviously they want to see like the interim champ versus champ. But I also think that people are forgetting and kind of sleeping on Stipe. Like he's a heavyweight legend. He's one of the best to ever do it. And to see a Jon Jones versus Stipe, that's a super fight in itself, which I personally am really excited for.
Me too, and that's the important thing, is that if Jon doesn't retire, then I'm sure we'll be fighting Aspinall. If he does, then he has a great career no matter what. I'm always Jon's biggest supporter. I love that guy to death. So yeah, wherever he wants to go and whatever the organization, the UFC organization, and Jon want to do, that's my job. Isn't in there. My job is just figuring out how to win when we get the marching orders, so to speak.
Absolutely. I wanted to talk to you also. This past weekend was a fight night, and Dominic Reyes, one of Jon's toughest opponents in his career, finally got a win after Jon Jones had beaten him a couple years back. He's lost 3 in a row by knockout, and he finally finds himself back in the winning column. That would be interesting to see that kind of comeback for Dominic Reyes. What do you think about Dominic Reyes' career?
Dominic's such a tough guy, super smart, and everybody goes through those kind of dips in your career. It's just natural as you're figuring things out, or as you make changes in your style or whatever it is. Sometimes it takes a little while to figure it out, and I'm glad to see you got a win, and I'm sure he's starting to figure it out. And again, if they decide to fight, then we'll fight, and if not, it's whatever they want to do, they're going to do. So I'm sure the fans would love to see a rematch, and I don't know if that's in the cards or not, but if it is, we'll do it.
Sure. It seems like you're just kind of looking at whoever's next, which is pretty exciting. I wanted to talk to you. So you get the signing, you're going to fight Stipe, right? Like that's the thing. That's your next target. What's your first step as a trainer?
So the first step is to watch a lot of film and try to figure out what we're trying to accomplish. So Where does he go mentally when he's winning, when he's losing? What is he doing right? What is he doing wrong? Where can we exploit? What pattern tendencies does he have? It's a very complicated thing to watch tape. But my primary thing on watching tape for me personally is looking at the psychological underpinnings. Like, what does he do when he's winning? Where does he go when he's pushed hard? Like, what can I get predictive as the emotions of the fight evolve? And then you can come back, because the rest of it's fairly simple. Oh, he does a lot of jabs, he favors this side when he's trying to corral you, to hit you with hooks or takedowns or whatever. Or when he does take you down, he likes this kind of, like, that stuff a computer could do. Like, it could just spit out the facts and, okay, well, you don't want to move to the right if he's hitting you with the right hand, whatever. The hard part is the psychology and how you want to have your guy technically sequence his moves versus the opponent. So there's a lot of that evaluation, and then the planning of the camp, like how many weeks is it going to take to get in shape? What should we do at what time? That kind of thing. So the first part is just mostly analyzation, and then we synthesize the techniques that we need to do, and then push forward from there.
And I feel like as a trainer, you're not just training some like regular Joe who came onto the streets and wants to fight. You're training Jon Jones. Is there any moments with you guys that it's like, all right, we're kind of learning together, because he's also a master of this game while you are as well. So you kind of attack it together rather than like teacher and student. Is that true?
Oh yeah, that's always that way. Like, even early on working with people, like, I need to get their input. You have to know what can your guy do, what he can't do. And Jon, every fighter has taught me something. Like, they come with moves, they come with ideas. I've been very lucky to learn a lot from every fighter, not just the high ones that but there's incredible ones that have showed me technique where I was like, wow, I'd never thought of that. That's incredible. Which is a lot of fun. Like, I love learning. I couldn't imagine something more boring than knowing everything about something. Like, what's the point of waking up? So I really love to learn. Yeah, absolutely. Every fighter I've trained is a very back and forth deal. Like, it's never me going, here's what you want to do. There are some fighters that prefer that, and I still like their input. I still want to hear what they're doing. So, yes, that's very true. And not just with Jon, with everybody. And I'm very lucky that they're smart enough, and my very slow brain is smart enough to kind of learn from each other.
And if you don't mind me asking, of course there was kind of a fallout with Jon Jones after that whole controversy with him went down. How was the kind of bringing him back into the program process? Was that easy, hard?
I never fell out. So him and Mr. Winklejohn kind of fell out a little bit. So he went to one of my other schools that I have here in Albuquerque, out in Acoma. So and you would have to ask them all the details of that deal. But I still work with him. He and I never really fell out. Jon has some challenges, and a lot of my friends have those challenges, and we just try to get him to do the best he can within the parameters, and always trying to get him to be better. So, and I'm not going to give up on him.
That's amazing. I really am inspired by, like, and I know, like, there's some bad things that have happened, but for a guy to really have all eyes on him his entire life, he's still at the top. I feel like, what is it, like his last 20 fights have, on the ESPN app, his last 20 fights all have the little gold belt icon next to him, because he's only fights for belts these days. It's incredible to watch him. Any fight he'll be in is a super fight, and it's incredible to talk to the man who's trained him. I really am honored to have you on this show. Like I said, it's my first podcast. I'm a little nervous to be and to have such a legend, really.
Oh, no, you're doing great. And it's not just me that trained him. Like, I have a team of guys that Mr. Winklejohn, Brandon Gibson. We have so many, Izzy Martinez, and then Aaron and Coach Alex. We have so many guys that help train Jon. I'm just one cog in the machine. Well,
Mr. Jackson, thank you so much for talking with me. It's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to talk to you more in the future.
Yeah, anytime you have me, I'm here for you.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one. Welcome to the premiere episode of the Balls Deep UFC podcast. This episode is brought to you by absolutely nobody. We have no sponsors yet. We're a tiny page. I say we because I'm joined by, and I'm so excited to introduce to you, Andy Falcone.
Oh, yeah. How's it going? I'm Andy. motion graphics guy, like Tommy said, and we're ready to get into some picks.
Some picks.
That's what we do.
All right, let's do it. So first thing I want to talk about, and I made a couple videos. I low-key have never talked about something so much on the page, was that Jared Cannonier early stoppage. I was super pissed about that.
Yeah, it was a huge bummer. I saw it live, and he didn't look like he was damaged at all. Like, yeah, he was a little wobbly, but I don't know. I just didn't see him call it. Honestly, when I saw him fall into the ref, I feel like it was a fault of the ref, like just getting in the way of the fight, and he didn't want to look stupid.
And so many people like consider that referee like the best referee in like the UFC, really. And for him to make such a crucial mistake, I guess not even a mistake, because listen, like, it happens. End of the day, like, the ref's doing his job. He thought that, and that's just the call he made. But like Cannonier, I said on that video, he's 40 years old. Like, he can't afford to lose right now. And he does in that way. It's just a bummer to see. He was winning the first 2 rounds, and then he ends up losing, probably going to lose his even shot at a title.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, like, the ref might not take into consideration to let him go a little longer. Of course, it might sound like a cheap thing to do, but, like, for someone like that you just know, like, he's been around for so long, like, he could take damage. Like, he's been hit before, and it's not like something new, but he's been wobbled or anything.
Well, he was just standing there. Like, he was literally standing.
He was bobbing, though. He was bobbing and weaving. Like,
with his hands up.
He looked like he was up. And then, like, they just started, like, diving off to the left side, and then the ref got caught up in it, and I feel like he just called it, like, kind of out of nerves to, like, not be in the middle of the fight.
Anyways, that pissed me off.
Huge bummer.
Yeah, huge bummer. That also on that card, Raul Rosas Jr. is a beast, I think. He's back. He was definitely not humble at first. Then he lost. Comes back. He gets the KO win in his last fight. Now he wins this fight with a submission. What do you think about that kid?
Yeah, no, he's a monster, but it's one of those things that, like, I feel like he can get what's it called? He can get checked again at any time.
Yeah,
like
like
for fraud. Like, yeah, he got caught once by a guy that was more experienced, but he's gone up against, like, equally as experienced guys and still took him down. Like, his last fight, I would say he destroyed him. Like, I was honestly kind of, like, sad for the other guy. He got embarrassed super hard, considering he was, like, 30-something at the time. I would say he's, like, a vet. He had a couple fights in the UFC. And I thought Ricky would do good too, but to be honest, like, I guess the nerves got to him. It's one of those things where when you're fighting someone so young, like, you just can't really, like, tell how good they actually are.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you saw this. It came out that Ricky had staph.
Really?
Yeah, but
no, I had no
Raul,
idea.
classically, as every fighter would do, said he doesn't give a shit about excuses.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things. You can't use that as an excuse.
Yeah.
Everybody has staph at this point. It's kind of how it seems. Like 1 or 2 weekends ago, Islam had staph. Paulo Acosta had staph. Like, you just got to power through it. Like, JDM, he powered through a fight with staph and still got the finish. So,
yeah, it's just one of those things, especially as a professional, you know, I mean, just you have to fight through it. You're going to go through some adversity. Like, Poirier, like, got super injured. I don't know what he did. He, like, hurt his ribs or something 2 weeks before the fight and wasn't wrestling at all. And then he fought Islam, which is tough. You know, he could have easily just pulled out and just played his cards right. Instead, he's a BMF. You know
yeah, it's one of those things where it's brutal. Coming out off of that fight at his age, I saw he also had, like, a triple broken nose. He had, like, a ton of injuries that were all, like, super brutal.
Yeah, well, anyways, that card was good. A couple cool knockouts. Zachary Reese proved himself.
Yeah, he
a
was
little
a beast.
bit. A lot of people were really hating on him, like saying that he was the worst fighter in the UFC roster.
Wow, I haven't even seen that. I didn't really hear much about him, to be honest.
Yeah, I forget what some Instagram kid doing what we do called him the worst.
Yeah, another one of those bums.
Yeah, but he's got way more followers, so
yeah, no, I'm sure.
Sounds way cooler. Whatever, he called him a bum, and then Zach Reese with one of the coolest knockouts on a fight night I've seen. I thought it was a pretty sick combo. Looking ahead, this weekend, a lot of people are forgetting because June is so stacked with the McGregor card, the Khamzat versus Whitaker fight, and obviously, like, the Strickland, Costa, Poirier, Islam fights. This weekend is Alex Perez versus, I don't know the guy's name.
I'm pulling it up right now, actually.
Tairo, something like that.
Yeah, he's from Japan, and I was actually looking at it earlier. He has a lot of experience. Despite being undefeated, I thought he was going to be, like, a more up-and-comer because he's only 15-0. But let me see right here. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights in the UFC, and they're all wins.
Wow.
3 of the 5 are finishes too.
Yeah, he's pretty legit.
So he is pretty legit. And Japan has been on the come up too. They've had a couple other fighters that their name escapes me right now, but they're on the come up for sure.
Sure. I mean, Alex Perez excites me. We made that video early on in the page when we had way less followers.
Maybe like 100 followers.
Way less than our 500. 596 actually at the time of this recording, which I'm pretty pumped about. Alex Perez, he had that 3-fight losing streak, but he still finds himself in the top 5. I think if he gets this win, he's either next for a title shot or he's got to fight Muhammad Mokaev, the guy that beat him.
Yeah, it's tough to say. You know, like that division right now is kind of like, I don't want to say like in the dumps because that's not the right word to put to, but they have a lot of people on the come up, but Pantoja has really just beat everybody. Like the only other person is Mokaev, but you know he's never lost, right? Mokaev's never lost, but he's just too low to take a title shot right now. It would have been the guy that Alex just beat. I think his name is Mateus.
Right.
It would have been. It would have been.
Dude. Yeah.
It would have been him, but you know he got
pieced by Alex Perez.
he
That was
got beat
awesome.
up.
That was one of our best picks.
Yeah. Alex Perez was a huge underdog there too.
I mean, you got Steve Erceg though. Like Steve Erceg, 13th ranked fighter. Out of nowhere, he gets.
Like
the title
I don't want
shot.
to say immediate rematch, but like that was like some awesome competition for Pantoja.
Yeah. Well, I always like to talk about the Mighty Mouse comeback.
Yeah, but that's never gonna happen. Sadly enough,
never.
I think he hates.
I think
the
he
UFC
hates
for
the UFC.
Sure.
Dana's not a fan of him either.
Even
It's
though
because he's such a nice
literally the
guy.
GOAT.
Yeah, he's literally the GOAT. Him versus Pantoja would be
It'd be
ridiculous.
Yeah.
It would be ridiculous. Anyways, Alex Perez, he excites me a ton. He's an American fighter, which is cool. Which I mean, I don't really care.
I love the American bros.
Gotta love the American bros, except for Colby Covington. Alex Perez, gotta get the win this weekend. It's not the biggest fight of June, obviously, because June's one of the greatest months we've ever seen. But it's a big fight for him, for that weight class, who's got no competition at all. If you win, you basically do get a title shot. It doesn't mean you get the title.
Yeah, that's actually crazy to say. If you gotta win, you get a title shot.
I mean, they threw in Erceg. And I kind of like the not immediate rematch just because he's got no leverage.
It would be pretty awesome considering how close the fights were, but there's the other people in line.
What's Erceg ranked after that fight?
12. You didn't move. You don't move if you win.
Yeah.
Or if you lose, sorry.
That's damn near like a specific case scenario. Like
yeah, no, it was just such a ridiculous.
He should have shot up after that.
I honestly thought they would have moved him considering how good he did, but like I just think those aren't the rules.
Yeah, those aren't the rules. It makes sense. You know, Pantoja might have had a bad day or something. He might have had his best day ever.
Pantoja? No, he held it down.
Yeah, he was sick. He's so sick. You think he'll move up?
I want him to.
Who's above him, O'Malley?
Yeah, but apparently O'Malley like got him in training like 9 years ago.
Yeah,
so it's like it's one of those things where it doesn't matter. Like I don't know.
That clip is trash.
Yeah.
He like got him but barely got him. They were just sparring and Pantoja was like, I don't need to fight anymore.
Like why would he keep getting beat up?
Yeah,
he got his liver smacked.
Yeah.
Mid training.
What's the height difference? What's
humongous?
Ridiculous.
I mean, he's like 6'1" and Pantoja's like 5'5".
No, he's like 5'11".
Sean O'Malley?
Sean O'Malley. But everyone he fights is like 5'4".
Yeah.
So he looks like he's 6'3".
Yeah, that's stupid.
Oh man, Pantoja versus O'Malley would be sick though. But I think O'Malley wins that.
Yeah, I don't know how to go. I feel like it'd just be like a different type of Peter Yan match. It's like another little guy that just knows how to stand up.
Peter Yan would damn near beat Pantoja. I think it'd be more like a Sterling. Like he can't reach him. He goes for that.
Sterling moved in improperly. He just moved in.
Well,
and he just got
Pantoja
caught.
does that like bull rush technique.
Yeah, but he could take it. Like we've seen him take it like pretty nice. Like
I mean, Erceg gave him.
Yeah.
Erceg.
That was like that would have finished anybody else if it wasn't Pantoja.
Yeah.
Pantoja's got like a metal head. Looking on it next week.
Pull up the card, the Saudi Arabia card, because there's some great fights on it.
Saudi Arabia card is what we're talking about. All right. I'll start from the main card. Oh, I'll start from the bottom.
Yeah, the bottom.
Shara Bullet Magomedov, the first fight of the night. He's going against someone 38-10, 48 professional fights. But I feel like they're going to give him another, let's see.
UFC debuter?
Yeah, another UFC debuter. That's the same thing. That's the same thing they did with Umar. He's ranked, but he hasn't fought a single ranked opponent. Which, like, despite how awesome they are, like, I don't know how I feel about him being ranked and like fighting Corey Sandhagen, but not having fought anybody with actual. Despite the guy that he fought was really good, but it was still his debut. You can't judge someone on their debut.
I mean, like what's happened with Zach Reese. You know what I mean? Zach Reese got dropped in his debut, and then he came back and got that sick knockout. But I hear a lot of guys don't want to fight Shara or Umar. Like, that's why he's not fighting anyone ranked.
That's one of those things where it's like people are just scared of him because they're undefeated and they look scary.
Right. So to finish up the pod, me and Andy are going to give our picks for the fight night this weekend. Main event, Alex Perez versus Tatsuda Taira. To open up that card, it's Asu versus Jose Johnson. And our pick is Asu, the Kazakhstani, who's a heavy favorite, minus 475 on the ESPN
Ridiculous favorite.
Yeah, that'll be a beatdown. Probably a finish. the next fight is Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Miles Johns. So Douglas is a lot older. He's 38 while Miles Johns is 30. But because of his history and the fact that the odds are so tight, we're going to go with the older, more experienced fighter.
You know, despite being old, his record's pretty nice. 39-5.
Yeah, 5 losses as a professional at 38.
Yeah, that old.
And most of them being decision. 2 of them I see finishes.
And one of which, his last one, which wasn't even recently, it was in 22.
Right. So he hasn't lost in a while. He got a good decision win against Cody Stammen. So we're going to go with Douglas here. In the next fight, young gun Timmy Kawamba, who I think has only fought once in the UFC or twice. Yeah, only made his just made his debut in a split decision loss. When was this? Early February this year. He's going to face off against Lucas Almeida. We're going to go with Timmy Kawamba to hopefully bounce back into the win column and get a win in the UFC, get his first win in the UFC. Co-main event sees Ikram Aliskerov versus Antonio Trocoli. Antonio, 6'5". Did you know that?
I'm looking at it right now. He is gigantic.
He's humongous.
But, you know, it's hard
But
to doubt it.
we
It's
really
hard to doubt
believe in Ikram. It is also his debut in the UFC.
That is true. And he has a draw in the Contender Series. So what does that mean? In Jungle, everybody's from Jungle FC. In Jungle, he's got 1 KO loss. Retirement.
What?
He retired. I guess he retired and came
From
back.
Jungle Fight? How old
But it
is he?
says TKO retirement.
He's 33.
I don't know. I guess he retired and then came back, I guess.
Anyways.
It's 2017, too. His last fight was in 21.
Really?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, he did.
Antonio.
In some Brazilian fighting series.
Yeah, no, we're definitely
Anyways, we're going with Ikram.
We're going Ikram.
And finally, for the main event, he is the underdog. But
Arguably the
he's
GOAT.
our underdog. He is the GOAT in some eyes, our eyes. We're going with Alex Perez. Wins this one. He gets that title shot, I think. No, he doesn't. But I think he gets a fight with Mohamed
It could be
Mokaev
arguable.
for the title shot.
I agree.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. It's been a pleasure. We hope to keep these up weekly.
Bi-weekly. Safer to say.
Yeah, bi-weekly, safer to say. We'll see what the fans have to say about it.
Let's see how our picks do.
We're open to name suggestions.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. We might be, but we're not. Don't send us any, please. And spread the word. We're really trying to grow this page. I think we're too young. 3, sorry, Josh. We're 3 young. Josh is not here with us today. He lives in Boston. We're 3 young guys passionate about the UFC, passionate about making content, and we're really
Love the sport.
We really love the sport. Some might say we're inexperienced. I disagree. I got my black belt in Taekwondo in the 4th grade. Andy, white belt, jiu-jitsu.
1 stripe white belt.
1 stripe white belt. So
We'll get the names down at some point. We'll learn all the
yeah,
moves.
we'll learn the names at some point. We'll get a little more credible. But to say that we don't know fighting is incorrect. I grew up in Coral Gables, the bad side of Coral Gables, I like to say.
Yeah, scary side, to be honest.
With the black belt in my hand, training since day one.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a very experienced white belt in jiu-jitsu.
Seasoned.
Seasoned vet, some might say. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll be back next week. Thank you.